Today is April 22nd, 2019. This is Mitel Connect Client and Connect Contact Center training for the California Department of Veterans Affairs. My name is Paul Weber, and training will begin momentarily. And I will say again, good day and greetings. My name is Paul Weber. I'm from Packet Fusion. We are located in Pleasanton, California. That is headquarters. This is a Mitel Connect Client and Connect Contact Center class. Again, my name is Paul, and I am a veteran. I will mention that, and I want to get started here to return you to your busy day. So there are some lead informations getting you warmed up on how this all operates. I have made an assumption that you're all coming from the ShoreTel communicator world. ShoreTel was recently purchased by Mitel, thus the name change. There's also going to be some brochure changes, literature, and that sort of thing. It's all going through the staging processes of changing logos over. So I will show you the Connect Client Quick Reference Sheet. I'll show you the Connect User Guide. I'm going to show you the Mitel Connect Client. I'm also going to show you the Connect Call Center browser. And we're going to go through all that in the next hour. So do stay muted. I'm going to launch the Mitel Connect for the first time, actually for the second time today. So I'm going to make this look like a fresh day. And I can see that Guillermo just joined. Good morning, Guillermo. Keep your phone mic silence, please, muted. I'm going to launch the Mitel Connect client. It launches, and because I've been in there before, I put in my login name and my password, and it remembers it. So I won't have to do that again, and you'll do the same thing. Aaron, you might mention, if you don't mind, when cutover is. I don't see that. I don't think anywhere on my sheet.
We are cutting over. Yeah, we're cutting over on Friday night this week, and so Monday morning, bright and early, everyone will be on Connect.
Great, thank you. So that would be Friday, and that also would be on. It would be the 26th of April. So when you first launch the Connect client, this is what it looks like. And I can see that there are a couple definitions that I need to tell you about. On your ShoreTel communicator, as well as on your ShoreTel phones, you had a button or a tab that lets you go into a different mode. New terminology, new vocabulary item. It's called a state. Instead of a mode, it's called a state. That's it. No other changes. But remember standard mode? That is now called available instead of standard, with a color green. In a meeting is yellow. Out of the office, on vacation, do not disturb. And if you need an additional greeting called a custom greeting that you can give a color to, you can do that as well. But this is all very familiar to communicator. Colors haven't changed. On the phone would be, by the way, instead of yellow, it would be orange. I see that we have caller 10 has arrived, unnamed. Welcome. Keep your microphone muted, please. At any rate, let's get started here a little further. I want to show you that. Those are the two terminology changes I wanted to tell you about. And I mentioned that there is a client quick reference guide. It looks like this. And you should have this along everyone's desk on the day of cutover, so they can see what things are called, and I'm going to go over that. And also, if they didn't have the benefit of going through training today, how to use it, because they may have quite a bit of problem not knowing what to do on the first day of service if they don't come to training. And so these are the things that I wanted to show you. It's a dual-sided one-sheet document. And let me go up to the top here and say that this is called the dial pad. You had this on the communicator. And what it is an ability to be able to dial a number with your mouse. That's all. This is called the client menu bar. And when you click on it, there is a drop down. Notice that I put always on top. I put a check mark there because of this. If I didn't, as the day progressed, it would get buried. So I don't want it to be buried. So this is something I'd make a mental note to do. First day, first item. Always on top. Also, there's a user guide here, which I've gone to the Mitel website, and I do quite frequently because I'm a trainer. You'll probably do this once or twice a year, if that, when you want to download a PDF file. Hi, Maria. Keep your phone microphone muted, please. When I download the user guide, it's quite large. It's a PDF file. I saved it to my desktop. It looks like this. And it brings up an abundance of information, 136 pages about your telephone and about the client as well. If I wanted to search for an item, I could search by a certain keyword, like let's say power routing. If I wanted to search about that, I can now read about power routing by clicking and reading what I need, just like any PDF file. I also could come over here about how to manage a conference and actually click and read what I need, and then I'd leave. So this user guide is available to you. It's refreshed daily at the Mitel website. So for your intents and purposes, you probably need to download this once, save it to your desktop. And if you have a question, you can just dial up your question and there will be an answer provided. This is basic training today, so I'm not covering everything. You'll see that I don't have time to cover some items that you may ask about in training. So I want to make sure that you know how to use this thing on Friday when you or Monday when you have your new client on your desk. Your passwords, your greetings will all migrate, and so there shouldn't be anything to do there. So your current voicemail passwords, logins, and everything should be the same. If not, I'm sure they will let you know. But anyway, back to the definitions. This is called the dashboard area. This is the tab area. And in your world, everyone in your short cell communicator today, if you look at your initial window that opens up a communicator down at the bottom, there's a bunch of tabs, and everyone has different multiples of tabs. In other words, Matt might have file and history, where Jeremy might have directory, speed dial, and so on and so forth. Mitel has solved that problem in that we all have the same amount of tabs. They're here. I know because someone at your organization filled out a training request form. I know that you're not going to be using instant messages, so this will not show up here. It's showing up because please bear in mind that I am a trainer, so that everything is basically turned on for me, because you may have had instant messages and so on and so forth, but you won't. So you won't see instant messages, and also because you bought a more robust call center than the work group tab and actual software that comes with this program is for minor work groups or call centers. This won't show up either, but you'll have everything else. And if you take a look at this, you might note that there isn't a directory here. I'll show you that in a minute. Still getting you involved with definitions. I'm using a soft phone today because I'm actually not in my office, so I'm remote. And so all I wanted to let you know is that soft phones are available for people who travel or people who work outside the office who don't have an actual desk phone. And a soft phone is, like what I said, I'm using today, and it allows me to use my computer as a phone. So for travelers, it's great. And I use it oftentimes like this, and I like it. Anyway, back to what we call things. Notifications will pop up during the day because of something that you requested to be notified about, or something that the system's notifying you about, and they show up here. Now, I'm going to get rid of this document so it doesn't take up any more desktop space, which you can see that placing a call, answering a call, changing your availability state, new terms, availability state, is apparent to you and you know how to use it, but I'm going to minimize this and actually close. I'll minimize it. Now, this is the initial window that opens up. You know that you have to have it always on top. And also, I just wanted to tell you at the onset, for anybody who wants to put on some additional items, you can create a toolbar where you can have extra items here, like silent coaching. This would be for managers barging in. Silent coaching, we can talk about that a little later. But basically, this is like a training tool where you could actually get into the person that leads the training, listen to one of their conversations. The person that you're training would know that you're listening. But the person that he's talking to or she's talking to outside the office would not hear you. And you could literally coach that person. But just wanted to show you what that means, because you're going to see that from time to time. There's also silent monitoring and so on and so forth. I just want to show you this is here, and that you can add items to it based if it's been enabled for you. Like I know that I can come over here and add more items to this toolbar if I wished. I'm not going to spend any more time on this. By the way, Barge is something I maybe used once in my life, and I've been working on telephone systems in some form or fashion since 1971. So just know that I don't think Barge is something that you want to do unless it's an absolute emergency. But anyway, I'm going to turn off this toolbar. I just wanted to show you what it is and where it's at. We will later on in class come to the settings area where we'll talk at the very end of class today about routing your phones to your cell phones and things like that. And that's right here. So user guide, you saw where that came from and that I talked about. You can get that from the Mitel website. I also wanted to tell you that if you're interested in taking some more videos, trainings, Mitel does provide interactive trainings. So if you're interested in this and need more information, there are other classes available. Just click here, it'll take you to the Mitel website. This is for IT, your IT department. If they ever said send my logs, they'll tell you how to do that. At the end of the day, when you want to close down, you probably can close down. If I go like this, and I just shut this window down, the initial window, I can see it's still running over here, along with all these other programs that are taking up resources on my computer. If I wanted to shut this down and not have to wait 10 minutes while I rebooted my computer, for whatever reasons I wanted to refresh it, I could right click and exit. And now it's like I just shut it down properly, which would have been, instead of minimizing all during the day, I'm going to launch this again. It's logging in. It's putting in my password, which I told it to remember, and my login name. And here it comes. And again, the initial window opens up. This looks very different. What I'm doing today is giving you a tour and telling you what's different between the short cell communicator and the Mitel Connect client. And it's logging in. It remembered me. And it's also putting me in the state I should be in. If I wanted to put my phone in a meeting, just like in Communicator, you know that you can drop it down and do that. And it changes me to in a meeting. I won't get any phone calls. Everyone goes to voicemail. And here's a different greeting saying Paul's in a meeting, Paul's out of the office, Paul's on vacation, Paul doesn't want to be disturbed. And if I need to create another greeting, I could. That's the same. It's not changed from Communicator. So right now I won't get any phone calls and it's telling me I'm in a meeting. So I have to change it back to being available. Likewise, what if I wanted to look at my directory? Here is the directory. This directory is not only all the people in your organization that have ShoreTel and now Mitel telephones or Connect clients or ShoreTel communicators, but it's also going to have all of your Outlook contacts show up here as well. Watch this. So when I click here, it brings up my entire Outlook contact list. And notice that, I don't know if you can see that or not, but there are little stars over here. I'm telling you this for a reason. It's important. So I know that there's a couple thousand names in here, and eventually we'll get past all the telephone mumbo jumbo items that I'm seeing here, and we'll get to real people that are in my contact list. And the more I just hover, the more it'll keep going down through the alphabet. And so let's get down to some real people here. And so now we're in the R area. So let's say that I want to put inside sales, which happens to be a department in our office, is a buddy. I could have found inside sales by typing their first name, the last name, or their extension if I knew that, and I could have brought up that information. But what I want to do is I want to make them, if this is someone I deal with frequently, like just mailbox, probably just as an example in another class, I just put a star there. And you're going to do this for anybody that you transfer to frequently to, or anyone who's part of a group. You're going to want to put a blue star next to them. I'll show you why. Inside sales was not a favorite until I put that blue star in. And by the way, if I want to unstar someone, I can do that as well. So let me come over to contacts and say, this is where all my buddies are at. And I can see that inside sales just showed up. And it turns out inside sales, just because I happen to know this, is not part of my network. Just like this fellow, Chuck Mercurio, whose telephone happens to be on my dining room table here, is not part of the network. He's on a cell phone. So is Ed. And inside sales must be an office that's not part of the Mitel system. I have no idea. If I wanted to call that person, or if I wanted to call Sam Mercurio also, all I have to do is double click and it will call. But let me look at someone like Craig. Craig, who works in my office. If I bring it up, I'm opening up window panes. This looks very different, I know. And so If I wanted to close the entire window down now and start from scratch and relaunch my program, I could do that. But if I just want to close down like this contact sheet about Craig, I close this. If I want to close my contact sheet, I can do that. And now I'm back to my initial window. So that's what happens. It opens like an accordion and contracts like an accordion. So contacts. I can also take a look at all these people here. I can see at a glance that Christine's on vacation. I can see that Erin's on the phone. She's actually on this call. But how about Sushant? Sushant, up in your area, who I maybe want to right click and say, alert me when he hangs up the phone. You actually had that with the ShoreTel communicator, but no one knew how to do it. So when this person hangs up in the notification area, it'll tell me in this place and actually over here that he hung up. That is if he hangs up. Sean Vincent's phone's ringing right now and he has one incoming call. If I hover on Erin, it'll tell me that she's on the phone. It shows me your extension. Also, what's happening with Christine. What if I wanted to change how I'm looking at these people? Maybe I wanted to change this to maybe a list view from a compact view. I prefer compact, but list view allows me to look at everybody with more information, same information. If I wanted to get rid of guest mailbox and make them go away because maybe they're not part of my world anymore, in my professional world, I can say, get rid of it. And that person, guest mailbox, is still available here in the directory, but is no longer a buddy. And there it is. I can make it another buddy if I wanted to. I think I will. And so I can look up that person or another person by phone number. Or I could look up a person by last name or first name. So all of my contacts have come over from Outlook, along merging with all the communicator and clients, Connect clients, they're all here. So it's also back in Connect. We can also take a look at maybe another way that you want to sort these people. I'm going to go back to my list view because I like to pack as many people in a particular window pane as possible. So let me say that I wanted to add somebody else, like Tanya. We're going to make her a buddy just to recover this again. And now Tanya is in here. Also, maybe people want to look at this same information by departments. So it's the same thing where I took and said all my engineers and put them all in one place, my HR person and so on and so forth, my PMs and so on and so forth. I can do that. Same thing, I can do list or compact. So what if I wanted to add a new contact? Do I need to go to Outlook to add a new contact? I could. What will happen if I do add it in Outlook? It'll show up here as well as Outlook. What if I wanted to do it from here? It'll bring up Outlook with a contact sheet. You've done those before. So once you've filled all that out, it will show up in both places. That's contacts. The reason that you need all of these people in your contacts list is because of the way you can transfer now, where you can drag and drop to transfer, as long as they're in your contact sheet. We'll get there in just a moment when I start showing you how to operate this thing. So let's go down to recents. Recents is about your call history. This is your call history between this person or this person. If I wanted to look at just all my calls between Chuck and I could do that. And when I do, by clicking here, it's showing me every time I've talked to this person. This could be for outside callers as well. There's some icons here that I need to discuss with you so you know, and there's a larger array that I'm going to show you in a moment where you'll be able to see at a glance what these things mean. But anyway, what if I wanted to write a note about what we talked about on April 5th? You could have done this in Communicator if you wished, and then you know how to do, but I'm going to show you how to do it in Connect Client. Maybe I want to type a note about what we talked about. This program remembers the last 2,000 phone calls that you've made. Back with Communicator, I think it was at 1,000 or 1,200. So now we have a larger capacity for all of your information. If I wanted to get out of here and make that note, I could write another note. and another. And so it'll stay here until I get 2,000 more phone calls. If you're a heavy phone user, this may not be for you. These call notes will go away very fast. But if you're a 1 or 2 person caller a day, it's going to last you for years. At any rate, I want to get out of this window pane. So do I want to call Chuck? No. I'm going to get rid of this window pane and go back to where I was. I can also see missed calls. Just like on your telephone, when you get a missed call in the upper right part of your screen next to your extension on your ShoreTel and Mitel telephones, you'll see broken arrows with the numbers showing you how many missed calls you have, and you can go into your history on your phone to do that, or you can go here. You also can search for a caller, but I prefer to stay in all. Voicemails are just that. Let me make this look like a new voicemail. I have a voicemail with a little bullet telling me how many voicemails are new, and it's also denoted here. If I wanted to play this message, I can also segregate by unheard messages or saved messages or everything. And if I wanted to play it, if I double click, it opens up and it starts playing out of my computer speakers. Test message from Paul. Hopefully you can hear that thing, test message from Paul to Paul. And I could forward that. I could forward it to, oh, I don't know, Aaron. I could label that right here. And as I start to type Aaron, we know that she's still on the phone. We also could label this as urgent. You know that if you label a phone call as urgent, even in your world today, communicator, that your message just got high priority and it's going to be the first message retrieved by that person. You also could label it private, which means that person can't forward that message out. You've locked it in their mailbox. They can delete it or wait for it to expire and disappear. But neither, this is neither. But do I want a receipt? Do I want to see when Aaron opened up that message? Yes, I do. And does she do that of me? Probably. Will I know? No. Do I use it? All the time. I want to know when someone's heard my messages. I want to know if they haven't heard the messages. So I'll get something back in a minute, like this information where she's listened to a message before, and I get a receipt back. So I always do this to her when she's on my training classes. So she's familiar, and she'll check this, and I'll get a receipt back. It'll appear here. So I'm going to send this. I also could re-listen to this message by going like this, and then stopping it where they get to the part on the telephone message where they are speeding through their telephone number and replay it. You can do that as well. But anyway, I'm going to send this message now. And there you go. So now that's voicemail. You're not going to be in instant messages. So there's a voicemail here from Erin, and she gave me a return receipt. She's Johnny on the spot, isn't she? And it's also telling me that she checked it, and there's that check mark. And so we're good with that. And thank you, Erin. And under messages, I had a little conversation. You're not going to have that. So if you have an instant message program, they all work the same. So that's probably why you didn't go with ours, is that they're all the same. They haven't changed since AOL in 1991. You type what you want to have seen, and the person has a corresponding back and forth with you. And so now here's the events. Events is something you're going to see. And in my calendar today, I can see that most of my world today is devoted to you. A lot of my time today, this week, is devoted to you. So I can look at my calendar here. I also could see what's going on this way. And this is the class that we're on right now. And so this is my calendar. I can look in the future. I can look in the past and see what's going on. I can also there's the past. So I can do that, and closing. And closing. Now, let's talk about those icons, that array of icons that I wanted you to see. Let me clean this up a little bit and get a real phone call coming in. Just 1 second. Here comes a call to Paul Weber at his work phone number. So when the call arrives, it looks like this. Tells you who's calling. I have 3 ways of answering this call. I can transfer it to someone else by intercepting and putting someone else's name in and sending it on without talking to the person, send it to voicemail, or double click and answer the call. And now I can see all of the icons I wanted to show you. So when a call comes in and you want to mute the microphone, you can do that here, and you also can do it here. That just turned on the red light on my telephone. It also muted so that you can hear. Also here. If I wanted to, and I don't believe you'll have this feature, have a video call, if you have the proper equipment, and I don't believe you do, once that equipment's installed and you've been given the proper permissions, you're able to see the person you're talking to. Also screen presentations, just so you know what these are, because you are going to see these, but I don't think they'll be grayed out probably. That's also with some additional equipment. You can actually have the person that you're talking to see what you're looking at on their computer. A word of caution here. I imagine this has all been properly handled in the past, but California has recording laws that you must tell people at the onset of the phone call that this call may be recorded for quality control purposes. As long as they heard that, you can record it well. That's for California only. We have very liberal recording laws, but other states have things that are much more extensive regulations and getting permissions and so on and so forth. So if you have the ability to record a phone call, you can. And people usually ask me, well, where does it go when you record it? It goes into a server that you could use later on, because I know that, for instance, some of my large organizations or cities record every phone call that they get. Your call may be recorded for quality control purposes. There's never a question as to what was said on that phone call. But maybe you only need to do it when you need to do it for whatever reason. You just simply click there, and if you need it, you contact your IT department, and they'll get it to you. If you wanted to add a participant to a conference call right now, we could do that with this. So that's add a participant, that little icon there. This is transfer. Transfer. And then finally, one item called move. So picture this. On the way to work this morning, I'm going to make up a story, Matt, so just go along with my story. On Matt's commute this morning to work, he was driving down the freeway and got a phone call from a customer. And he talked and basically was still talking when he arrived at work. And he was on his cell phone. He walked into the organization front door, and he started walking down hallways, still on his cell phone. And he got to his desk deep within the center of the building, far away from windows, where his cell phone call was actually getting pretty bad. And it was starting to break up. If he went over to his phone and it was equipped properly, he could press a button on his telephone, a soft key right at the bottom of the screen where the black keys are, called Move the Call. And that would have taken his call from his cell phone and instantly transferred it to his desk. Or vice versa. Maybe he wanted to leave. Maybe it was Friday at 5 o'clock. He was still talking to someone. He's like, are we done? And the person says, no. You can move the call to your cell phone and walk out the door just with a click of a button. It has to be properly equipped and the feature enabled. So that's what the icons mean. Really important transfer, really important conference, really important mute. Anyway, let's say I want to transfer a phone call. I'm going to show you how to transfer a phone call without having contacts built in. Your buddies here, it's not much different than Communicator. I'm going to transfer this call to Erin, or I'll transfer it to Marissa so I can talk to her. And I'm going to type in her name and or her phone number. And there she is, and she's available, as am I. And if I click, I can transfer this call, release the call, I'm out of the picture. It's a blind transfer. That's actually a term that we use in the industry called get rid of the call. Just send it over to the person that they asked for. But maybe somebody important called to Marissa, and I want to tell her, same as Communicator, I'm going to consult with her. And now this caller went on hold while I'm transferring to Marissa. And Marissa gets a call, and she answers it dutifully and says, hello, Paul. And I go, hello. You there, Marissa?
Yes, I am.
Yes, she is. Good morning, Marissa. Thanks for joining us today. And she says, oh, I'd love to talk to that person named Chuck McThrio. And I go, here he comes. Have a good day. Or maybe she doesn't want to. If I press X, Marissa would be, we'd knock Marissa off and she would be gone because she rejected the call. But she did take the call today, so I'm saying, okay, here he comes. Have a nice day. And now I'm out of the picture. Marissa and Chuck will be talking, and that's good. Thank you, Marissa. And so I'm going to call back again because I want to show you how to do another item, a new way. This is new. And if you don't come to training, you won't know about it. So here comes another call. However, I'm going to bring up my contacts folder, where I happen to make Marissa a buddy, and I can double click Packet Fusion. This is Paul. I may direct your call. I say to that person, and they say, can I speak to Marissa? And I go, certainly. Watch this. I'm going to drag it, and I'm going to drop it right on Marissa's name, and the call just transferred. How cool is that? A nice feature. I'm going to hang up, Marissa. You can just ignore the call. And then finally, another call comes in, and this would be, again, for Marissa or Aaron. And here comes the call. Send it to voicemail. By hovering, it'll tell you what to do. Transfer it to somebody else, answer it, and then I go, who did you want? Oh, you wanted Marissa? I'm sorry, she's not in today. Would you like her voicemail? So I come up here, click on Marissa, and sorry. And I click on Marissa and I say, would you like her voicemail? Notice that you have tabs here. And so if I wanted to transfer, send to voicemail, I could right click and send to voicemail. This program does not right click as much as the communicator did as yet. And so anyway, I'm going to hang up that phone call. So know that this program was totally rewritten over the past year, year and a half. And as time goes on and more updates come out with every new release, things that I used to enjoy in Communicator, like exporting your call history, are returning slowly. So just because it's not there right now doesn't mean it's going to not be there later on, or a feature that you're not going to hear about today. At any rate, am I hearing somebody? I think, Matt, you might have me unmuted, so I will mute. Well, actually, this would be a good time for me to ask if there's any questions. So, are there any questions? If I don't hear anything in the next few minutes, I'll know that you're good to go, or a few seconds, and I'll continue on. Very good. So let's do a conference call. How you do a conference call is someone calls you or you call them. I think I'll call Aaron. Or actually, I'll call Marissa. Can do it either way. I could go into my contacts. I could look her up this way. If she wasn't a buddy already, I could double click. I'm making a phone call. Actually, I had to click again. By the way, there's a drop down here. I don't know if you happen to notice that. I'll show you that in a second. There's a little tiny icon where you can drop down and see that there's other numbers available for Marissa. Hi, Marissa. She goes, hi. And I go, do you want to go to conference? She goes, okay. And so I press conference to add a participant, and I put in Aaron. And it's rude to bring Aaron on without announcing who the person on the phone is. So in other words, I don't want to put Erin on without announcing, so she doesn't pick up the phone and have two people say hi to her. It's rude, so I'm going to press consult. What happened here? Let me try this again. So I'm going to go and add conference. Okay, and there's Erin. And I'm going to consult. There we go. So I'm consulting with Erin. Marissa's on hold, doesn't hear a word. Erin picks up the phone and says, yes, I'd love to join, or no, I don't. And if she did, I press this. There's a little delay there. we should go together now here. Due to a timeout, something went wrong. Let's try this again. Actually, I'm going to hang up the phone call. Aaron's got me on hold. Oh, and Marissa's going. Oh, so that's what's happening. They're both talking on other calls. And now Aaron's gone. So at any rate, it would have worked if they weren't multitasking on other phone calls. But I think everyone has that down. Any questions about that? Okay, good. Now, we have talked about transferring. We've talked about conferencing. We've talked about history. We've talked about voicemails. We've talked about adding contacts. So let's talk about the call center. The call center is different. There is no toolbar anymore where you log in, log out, release and resume. So let's talk about that for a second before I bring up any more for graphical displays. And that is, when you launched your toolbar, it brought up information which showed you that you're logged in. Now it's a browser. The browser we use and prefer is Chrome. Internet Explorer has definite issues with Connect. Edge, I believe, will work. Mozilla Firefox, those will work as well. So I've used Chrome today. And when I bring up my Chrome, or let me bring up a different Chrome, since this one's already being used, I'll launch a new example of Chrome. Just 1 second, please. Okay, so now when I bring up Chrome, I also created a bookmark. If I didn't create this bookmark, I'd have to type in the information you see below the Mitel Connect Contact Center. I don't want to type that in. So I'll show you what I did in a second. But I want to launch the Mitel Connect client. And when I do, it brings up, if I properly logged out yesterday, this login information. And I do use a password manager that populated this for me, so I don't have to think about it. It's actually good from a security standpoint. So if I launch this, this is what it looks like. It's very different. This is the Connect Call Center browser. Right now, I can say I'm in available mode. But a moment ago, I talked about log in, log out, release, and resume. What I mean by that is when you start your day in the morning, you should log in. Think about your day today. Is that what you did? Are you part of a call center? If you're part of a call center, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not, you won't. And that's okay. You're probably still not part of a call center. But log in is when you've told the system that you are a person who has special skills, that when someone calls a specific number, you are part of a group called the call center, and you'll start receiving those phone calls. During the course of the day, you do not log out. During the course of the day, you do not log out. It's an unnecessary resource. It uses resources unnecessarily when you do that. So when you're logging in, Mitel is struggling to bring you on. And then when you're logging out all during the day, it's not good. So what we want you to do is we want you to stop taking requests, or in other words, release yourself when you're going to go to lunch or something. You'll have a different pull down here than I do. This was designed by my company. You'll have a different one. I don't know if it'll be smaller or larger. It'll probably be something similar. So right now, if I did want to go on break and not take any more phone calls while I'm on break, I'm going to be ignored right now until I come back and say, I want to resume. At the end of the day, when I'm leaving, I'm done, I log out. A proper way of shutting down this browser at the end of the day is to sign out. So, since you've seen me launch this once before, I won't go through that again, but I want to log into my queues. We'll pretend that I just launched this window, it logged me in, and this is what I look like. Now, what does a call look like? So, like again, you're a specialized person with special skills, and a person calls in, it arrives in both the initial place that you saw me receive phone calls, as well as on the browser. So I can double click here, or I can double click here. So right now, when I double click, I'm talking. And so now, this will tell me all the information I need to know about that person. Down here are items that we selected. These are titles or subject matters that we chose. You can have different ones, but they're pretty standard. And these items are computing what's happening in my call center every 7 seconds in real time. So it is computing constantly what's going on in your world. If you'd like to know more about what's going on in your world, for instance, I can tell you that they being my IT people, designed a call center that has actually no activity at all because my theoretical perfect trainings are always perfect. But if this was any other groups, for instance, if I came over here and said, well, what if I've got a phone call from Sean saying, we need help in the moves, add changes area in the ASASIS group, I could join them if I knew what I was doing in those groups. And obviously, I wouldn't have been asked to join if I didn't know what I was doing. And so I could come and go as I please. So I could add to my workload accordingly. Likewise, if I wanted to put a wrap-up code in, when you hang up a phone call, you go into a 20-second wrap-up mode. We chose 20 seconds. You may choose something else. So right now, if that person were to hang up and say, okay, bye, Paul, and I say goodbye, thanks for calling, and they go away, watch me go into wrap-up mode. I'm in wrap-up mode for 20 seconds. You may choose a different amount. I could put a code in here. I could extend my wrap-up, which gives me some time before the next phone call is approaching me, or I could end my wrap-up and start receiving a phone call right away if I had somebody in queue. Okay, so that is something that you can, I'm not sure you're going to use that or not. It's mostly about log in, log out, release, and resume. So now, what else is here? Not a lot, actually. So I'm logged in, I'm not ready right now, or I'm in release mode, but if I log in, into my demo chat, demo voice, I'm back in demo voice. Okay, so now I can start getting phone calls again. So here comes another call. Not much more to show you about this. It's pretty basic. This browser, it can't be docked. It can be resized, but basically it's going to be on your screen all the time. But there's one thing I want to show you here. So let's say that we ignored this window and we took the phone call right from, just 1 second, please. Hello?
Yes, sir. How can I help you today?
Oh, I'm so sorry, I misdialed. I think I've turned myself on the wrong queue. Just 1 second. Erin, you happen to be on the call?
I'm here, yes.
Something happened. Personal agent queue.
Can you try the training queue?
Training queue. Oh, that's on. So let me try it again.
Okay. Which number are you dialing, Paul?
The test queue. Oh, here it comes. I don't know what that was all about. So never mind, Erin. Thank you. So we're going to ignore this. I'm going to double click on this. And let's say this person says to me, I need to speak to Erin. So this is the transfer icon. You saw this was wrap up. This is transfer. This is maybe add my supervisor to a conference call and maybe transfer something to a personal queue, my personal queue. Not sure you're going to have this or not. So that's an item you want to find out. So what if I want to transfer to Erin right now? And I type Erin in. I'm not seeing Erin because Erin isn't actually part of this queue. These people are. These are my members. There's that Sushant guy again. He's the guy who just hung up the phone from, remember I said, let me know when he hangs up the phone? He became available 1 minute ago. I can get rid of that. So this is what I would do instead. I would say, oh, you want to talk to Erin? Well, I know Erin's a buddy, so I come over to contacts. And I could drag and drop, or I could do the consult transfer just by clicking on Erin. and transferring. Not letting me do that. Try this again. Aaron. There it is. Transfer. And so on and so forth to Aaron. I could do that. So that is pretty much how you transfer someone outside when they're not part of your queue group. You just do it like a basic transfer. So you can still transfer to anybody, but not to someone in your queue. So that comes up in for new users all the time saying, well, where's Aaron? I need Aaron. So you have to go back and do it that way. Are there any questions about the browser or the call center? By the way, if I wanted to make sure I don't get a call right away the minute I hang up this phone call, this is what I would do. Right now, talking to this person, I could say, I know that there's maybe 10, let's pretend there's 10 people in support call. I'm gonna get another call. I need to go get some coffee. So I'm gonna stop taking requests. So I'm gonna go on break. And now watch what happens when I hang up the phone or the person hangs up that called me. Thanks, Paul. I go, thanks for calling, bye-bye. And the person hangs up. I've gone into wrap-up mode, but after the end of the wrap-up, watch me go into release mode because I thought ahead of time, I was thinking ahead that I did not want to get another phone call and I should go into release mode. I did. And then I come back with a fresh cup of coffee and I can start taking requests again. At the end of the day, I log out of my queue and I close down my browser by coming like this and saying sign out. I will close this down if there are no further questions. We are on the third part of the class. It's the final part of the class. This is about setting your phone up and things that are programmable by you, as long as the feature's been enabled by your IT department. So again, we know this is where our states are at. What used to be called modes, now called states. We know that available was formerly, and in your world today, called standard. That's the only vocabulary changes we have, by the way. So knowing that, this is the settings. I told you we come here at the end of class, and under settings, I have all of these items programmable by me. Under account, if this product is working properly and you have no problems with it, don't mess with anything in here. Just leave it alone. There's nothing to do. I did turn this on when I want this to launch and come up every time I start my computer in the morning. You probably will want to do that. Call routing is a full feature. And so when I click on this, know that there are some items here that are kind of like subfolders. For instance, does the Mitel system know what my mobile number is? I told it right here. And you should know it too. If you have a pencil and you think you ever want to call me with a training question, that'd be 650-339-6277. If you'd like to email me with a training question, my name is Paul Weber with 1B in Weber, and my email address is pweber@packetfusion.com. Sometimes it will take me a day to get back to you, but I will get back to you. And you can email me or call me with a question. I don't care when. It doesn't have to be on Friday this coming week. It can be anytime you have a question for training. And under call routing, once I put all of these items in, know that you can make your life very complicated. If you start setting up different scenarios for each of these items, you know that your voicemail will say, if you don't record something, your call's been forwarded to a Mitel messaging system. That's what it says instead of the short tell. Paul Weber's not available, take your call, please leave a message to the tone. I record something over that available greeting. It's not warm, it's not welcoming, it's kind of cryptic, it's kind of like, don't really want to identify myself. It's pre-recorded, so that's what some people go with. but I don't think it's really good customer service. That's my personal opinion. If I go like this, Paul Weber's in a meeting, Paul Weber's out of the office, Paul Weber's on do not disturb mode, Paul Weber's on vacation and will not be checking messages, all pre-recorded. I change my available greeting, I change my vacation greeting to tell them when I'm coming back. It's just me. So it's a personal choice unless your organization tells you you must record something over. So all of these are in a la carte menu item. So if I want to start the wizard and answer each of these questions, I can go through the entire menu, or like I said, I can do it a la carte. So incoming calls are being routed to my soft phone. In your world today, it would say incoming calls are being routed to your desk phone and maybe your cell phone. The phone will simultaneously ring connect mobile client, which is what this is called. I can change that. I can change any of these items. 4 rings is standard before a call goes to voicemail, and I have a voicemail greeting recorded. Callers are allowed to leave a voicemail. I've got a green check mark. This is kind of a popular item in big organizations like yours. Maybe, let me just make something up. Guillermo and I work together, and Guillermo and I do something that's kind of unique. We are the only ones who do it. In fact, most people don't even know what we do, and because we don't talk to them, they don't know, and they never will. So let's pretend that there's a reception person that answers the phone calls and says, I called Paul Weber, he wasn't at his desk, I zeroed out and I came to you. I speak to Paul. Paul's not here, Paul's at lunch. Would you like to speak to Guillermo? She could transfer, or he could transfer me to Guillermo. But maybe we don't need to bother that person. I could go like this. I'm gonna have to use a different name. Maybe I wanna make Marissa my zero. Maybe I don't need to have my customers bug my coworkers. So Marissa could make me her zero. So we just take the reception person out, if there is such a person, and make it all ours. I can do that. But remember, whatever you do with this and take it away from default, you have to maintain it. So your life can get kind of complicated. But back to this again. Do I want to record a new greeting telling you I'm warm and welcoming, and I welcome your phone calls instead of that cryptic greeting that you're going to hear that's pre-recorded? Probably. I can go and change any of these items one by one through here. So callers leave a voicemail, yes. But also there's that power routing thing. I don't really cover power routing because it's a full subject. And this means that you've got an issue about some person, some phone number that calls you, something you want to take and specifically make that phone call do something different. So let's just take a quick look in here. Under create a new power rule, just to give you an idea of how this works, number matches. The number is, I put in the number, I want to forward the call to someone else. Or a dialed number, the number is, and the number called dialed to reach me is, forward the call. If my availability is such and such, I can change, there's items here, don't have enough time to go through this with you today, but you could always call me if you have questions about this, changing your availability to a certain state. It can get really kind of complicated. Or if I'm on the phone, so this is really a specific issue that you have, maybe a time-sensitive issue or a state-sensitive issue. So feel free to get in here, and if you have questions, you can call me. It's not something I've ever really used, and I don't think it will be unless you just have a specific issue, and we can talk about that if you do. Under voicemail, this is important. There is a correlation between, remember my calendar events were showing from Outlook, and my contacts were also coming from Outlook as well because of this. When we get to Outlook, I'll show you that. This synchronizes voicemails. Whenever you see a check mark, leave them checked. Setup, nothing to do here. Maybe I want to change my voicemail password. I can do that right here. Maybe I want to record only my name. Not, hi, this is Paul Weber. Paul or Paul Weber, your choice. That's an identifier. If I was going to send each of you in class today, and let's pretend we all work at the same organization, if I was going to send Erin a message, as I typed in Erin's number, her voice would come saying Erin. Not, hi, this is Erin. So it's just the first or last or both names that you record in here. That's it. But people, the reason I'm telling you that is because people have this tendency to say, hi, this is Paul Weber. It's not what you want to do there. Escalation, you can get into an escalation mode. Under Outlook, this is important. So wherever you see a check mark, leave them checked. This synchronizes your calendar events with your messages and so on and so forth. And we'll talk about WAV files in just a second. Not using instant messaging today, not using video today, going to Outlook. And under Outlook, we have this. Yes, I'm using my calendar today. So at the beginning of my meeting with you today, I would have found my phone in a meeting because my calendar is turned on. So since I was presenting today and I was going to receive phone calls, I had to manually change this to available because I knew that my calendar was turned on. And so having said that, that's why my Exchange calendar with Mitel Connect availability modes are in there. I also have my Outlook contacts. If you have Exchange contacts, for instance, right now, if I press my directory, I see my listing, my large directory, which is thinking about, with a couple thousand names in here. But if I wanted to turn on something called public contacts, watch this. And I don't know if you do or not, but if you do, they will now show up. I'm not sure if you do. I guess we don't, because I'm not seeing anything here. So I'm turning that off. So if you don't want your calendar to control your telephone's availability state, you turn that off. Okay. Under notifications, voicemails as WAV files. Earlier today, I got a voicemail that showed up in my Connect client, as well as, sorry, just 1 second, get always on top, kind of gets in the way. And in my mail, I got a Mitel voicemail. And in that Mitel voicemail, which I can play from anywhere in the world, as long as I have computer speakers, if I don't have a telephone. Get out of here real quick. If I open this up, it brings up a WAV file, Windows Audio Visual File that I can play. So that's what that means, WAV file. So if I get a voicemail, it's going to show up in my Connect client with a little bullet saying I have a voicemail, as well as in my Outlook. So I could choose to listen to it either way. This is that receipt. I can mark that as heard and turn that off by right-clicking. This does have a right-clickable thing. I also could download that voicemail as a WAV file and send it off to someone else. So that is not new either. You had that if you had that turned on in your communicator world as well. Almost done. So we have got to come back up here to Connect Client and go back to Settings. Under Desk Phone, you can, if you have a color phone or a color screen, you can change the motif on your screen. I don't have a telephone, that's why I have no choices here. You also will see a drop down with a large array of new ringtones, which you can test either through this, or if you prefer to do it on your desk phone, you can go to the options button, put in your voicemail password, and change your ringtones under ringtones, edit ringtones. There's going to be a large array, about 12 or 14 new ringtones. And each ringtone has an internal sound, which means it's an internal to internal call, versus an external person calling you. You can tell audibly just by listening to the tones, whether it's internal or external. I'm using a soft phone today, you're not. If you want to use a headset and you're having any issues with your headset, you might want to give me a call. I can tell you a new way, a newfangled way of, or I should probably say, if this is you, a call comes in today in your communicator world, and you're using a headset, wired or wireless, or let's say wireless, and you double click on your computer communicator, and then you have to reach up and press something on your ear to get it to engage, you need to call me. You have my phone number. You also have my email address. I have a solution for you. You shouldn't have to do that. You should double click and hear that voice in your ear. So I'll let you choose to call me or not. Under work groups, you don't have those. And finally, in language, We have 5 different languages available. You didn't have work groups, that's why I skipped over that. Under language, we have 2 versions of English, United States and United Kingdom, Spanish, French, German, Swedish, and simplified Chinese. If you do choose one of those languages, you'll have to reboot before that will show up in your screen. And having said that, it is